I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
In the year 2000, the video game company Square Enix collaborated with Disney to make something truly magical. Little did they or anyone know that the game would build a series that would end up being bigger than ever nearly 20 years later. It has become increasingly apparent that Kingdom Hearts is truly unique in many ways. Such is the case for widely accepted reasons, such as the unique blend of Final Fantasy and Disney. But I'm talking more about the core elements of the series that can often go unnoticed. Specifically, I want to talk about the character of Sora. A character who transcends the controller and television screen. A character who has entered the hearts of millions of fans around the world at a young age and still remains there to this day. Some might be wondering why fans across the world screamed and cried seeing Sora enter Super Smash Bros. It's not just because we were looking forward to his moveset. Sora has a special connection with Kingdom Hearts fans that really can't be compared to other video game characters. I believe this is because his status as the long-running protagonist of this extensive series. Sure, there's plenty of other video game characters who have been protagonists of their series for longer, but none so much have been the absolute same character through it all. There are multiple different versions of Link, with almost every Legend of Zelda game rebooting his character. There's Mario, who has lived through what seems to be a never-ending nightmare of Peach being kidnapped, but does he ever change as a character? Sora, on the other hand, has lived through each entry of Kingdom Hearts, and has virtually grown up with the series. Sora takes all his experiences with him, learns from his past, and will recount his life. Well, except this one, where he had his memories erased, but at least that was part of the plot. I think Sora is part of a large phenomenon here, something that is rarely found in gaming, and is an exclusive club in entertainment as a whole. One singular character who with each entry gets a little bit wiser, a little bit older, the same way that we did as the years went by playing the games. In the most recent peek into Sora's life with Kingdom Hearts 4, he's gotten visibly older. I've been a fan of Kingdom Hearts for as long as I can remember, so seeing this is especially shocking. Growing up, I always tried to be like Sora. My older brother and I would make videos in our backyard pretending to be characters from the game, set to a backdrop of Kingdom Hearts music, using toy lightsabers as keyblades. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago we were looking for 7 wonders in Twilight Town, or battling 1,000 Heartless in Hollow Bastion, but it truly has been. I think series creator Tetsuya Nomura is conscious of the role Sora has in the hearts of longtime fans, and has gone with such drastic changes for Kingdom Hearts 4 to reflect that. Thus, I've decided to take an in-depth look at Sora's whole journey, and to see how with each entry, his adventure reflects the journey of life we have all been taking with him. From Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 4 and all things in between, here is how Kingdom Hearts fans grew up with Sora. Sora came from humble beginnings back in 2002 on Destiny Islands. Things were indeed simple and clean. It was a story about 3 friends who had no cares in the world, but also shared dreams of grandeur. They spent every waking moment wondering what the outside world was like, who the people were, and what they would do. Sora finds his big break. He's given purpose to explore the worlds and seal the keyholes. Everything is new to him, and he gets to make so many new friends while discovering the beauties of life. This in many cases reflects how we all were at the time of release. I would only be an infant at the time Kingdom Hearts 1 was released, but I still feel like I can relate to Sora's genuine reactions to the outside world. Fans who are a bit older than I am might even be able to relate to going to school for the first time with the experiences of Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1. As for the series, this would be the first time before it started to have a lot of moving parts, and I think that supports this idea of an era of innocence in Kingdom Hearts 1. Before you knew all about an evil organization that had to be taken down, or before you knew there was a man plotting out his future to fight you and all your friends. At this age, we share with Sora the lack of knowledge of all the trials that lie before us. Kingdom Hearts 1 represents this era of simpler times and a blissful lack of knowledge. That brings us to Kingdom Hearts 2, released in 2005 for the PlayStation 2. Often known as the series' crown jewel, Kingdom Hearts 2 brought the series a near-perfect combat system, a more mature and emotional story, and an acclaimed selection of Disney properties. After the game was localized in 2007, 6-year-old me watched my brother play the game in my basement as I sat there totally enamored. Kingdom Hearts 2 introduces a wide range of mature themes, with one of the most prevalent being themes of loss. This is something that was present in Kingdom Hearts 1, but this game is literally all about it. Of course, there's Roxas' tragedy in the beginning of the game where he loses his life, and the whole villain's backstory is about how they once died and are trying to reclaim their spots in humanity. That's some pretty heavy stuff, but it's also something that you would learn as you're growing up. It's very focused on the human experience and what it means to be a good person. The game also focuses more on Sora and Kairi's relationship, with the very sweet ending of them two finally getting to be together for at least a short while. In Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora gets more responsibility, and instead of fighting one villain, he has to take down an entire organization. In many ways, I think this could be inspiring to people. If Sora can go through this jump in power from Kingdom Hearts 1 to now this, then I can too. Especially when I was younger, this version of Sora was what I always strived to be. The next logical step for Sora's journey would be Kingdom Hearts 3, considering he got visibly older in this game, but I think there's much to be said about Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. I would look at this game as the middle stage in life. I know for me, this time period definitely was. They, in a way, de-aged Sora, making his look coincide more with that from the Kingdom Hearts 1 design, while still retaining some qualities of his Kingdom Hearts 2 character. Being between two different phases of your life really does represent what it's like to grow up and to start being a teenager. This game is also the first time Sora is without Donald and Goofy on an adventure. The real Sora, not Data Sora. This can also be found in the middle stages of life, where you now have a bit more freedom to do some things on your own. As I grew up and started to move past the days of playing outside, Kingdom Hearts became a part of my life in different ways. This is when the elusive Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally announced in 2013. Kingdom Hearts 3 would not be released until January 2019, nearly 6 years after announcement. Despite one of the longest wait times in gaming history from announcement to release, I wouldn't trade that time period for anything. Kingdom Hearts fans on the internet were able to speculate and discuss the potential of this game for years. Kingdom Hearts 3 was a constant light at the end of the tunnel whenever things got tough during those 6 years. It was announced when I was in 6th grade, and on release day, I was old enough to drive to the GameStop and pick up the game. Kingdom Hearts 3 to me is indicative of the high school years. Everyone's growing up quickly. Riku's a Keyblade master and is taking on the responsibility of saving Aqua. Kairi is training to be a Keyblade wielder and to fight in the Keyblade War. Everyone is learning to overcome bigger trials, and much like the title song suggests, they are facing their fears. Kingdom Hearts 3 is truly Sora's coming-of-age story, as he learns to believe in himself and take charge. Sora's famous "My friends are my power" catchphrase is revealed to be a spot of insecurity for Sora, believing that he's worthless alone and that he needs his friends to be strong. Through the course of the game, he proves to himself and everyone else that he is strong and brave on his own, and ready to face anything that life throws at him. I think this is something that you really learn in high school, to define yourself and your strength before setting off to college. And oh boy, is Kingdom Hearts 4 not college or what? After Sora made the mature decision to save Kairi on his own without jeopardizing any of his friends' lives, he was sent to the afterlife for breaking the laws of nature. Funny how Kingdom Hearts' version of the afterlife is just real life. But this really does remind me of moving from high school into college, going into a brand new world that's completely different than what you're used to with a whole new set of problems. I think this comparison is the biggest indication of how Sora is growing up with us. As kids, we see the world so bright and colorful, carefree and nostalgic, much like the older cartoony KH style. Now that Sora is growing up, some of that childhood wonder has gone away in favor of a more realistic tone. It makes me, in a way, kind of comforted. If Sora can handle all this rapid change in his life, he'll give me the strength to do it too. Thankfully, the Kingdom Hearts games will always be around to transport me back to every stage of my life whenever I miss home. There is a very bright future for Kingdom Hearts, and there's such a bright future for all of us. As I just reached my 21st birthday, I'm so glad to have grown up beside Sora and Kingdom Hearts, and I'll be proud to take this series with me in life for as long as I can.